one answer. Remember, for the negatives, it's going to be negative, that's going to stay positive, that's going to turn positive, that's negative. For this, you're going to have two sign switches, so it's going to be 2 or none. Gain the chance. What do I have a higher chance of figuring out, a positive or a negative number? Which one do I have the most chances of? A negative. So I'm going to have a higher chance of finding a negative number. In order to find a negative number, I'm not pulling out of thin air, I am pulling out of the answer bank, P over Q. So P over Q is going to be all factors of 6 divided by all factors of 1. So we want positive and negative. Anything divided by 1 is just a whole number. So I just need the factors of 6. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 6. 1 times 6 is 6. 2 times 3 is 6. There's my answer bank. I'm going to start trying with a negative number. So I am going to try with -2. And I'm going to try with synthetic division. So if you notice over here, once we pull from our answer bank, the only reason why we find the answer bank is to do what we learned last week, synthetic division. So last week, when we were doing synthetic division, it was bringing you up to this exact point in time. All right, just guessing. I pulled 2 just randomly, just pulled it. And the reason why I chose negative is because I have a higher probability of getting a negative answer based on the Descartes rule of signs. Synthetic division, just checking to see if any of my degrees are missing. None of them are missing. So the coefficient for that, the coefficient for that, coefficient for that, coefficient for that. Now I'm going to do my synthetic division, and again, last week, I drew a happy face if it was 0 because that makes this just almost done. Let's see if we get 0 over here. Bring down a 1. -2 times 1 is -2. Combine straight down, that's going to be a 0. -2 times 0 is 0. That's going to be a -5. And then, does that equal 0? That's why I was so unhappy. I just wasted my time. Not really wasted, but at least I eliminated a chance. Let me try another negative. Let me try -1. So I'm going to draw the same setup. This is still 1, 2, excuse me, -5 and -6. But this time, guys, I am going to try a -1. So I'm going to put a -1 on the outside. So when I put a -1 on the outside, I'm just going to run through with my synthetic division. Oh. That equals 0. That just, we're over halfway done with this problem now. So remember, it's always the opposite. -1 is for sure an answer, but the factor that matched this was x plus 1. Remember, that's a factor. Remember, we also talked about how this is now a factor. This started with a degree of 3. This is going to have a degree of 2. So this is going to be x squared plus x minus 6. Now look at this down here. Does that factor? You don't have to answer that out loud. However, if the a value is 1, at this level, at this point in time, second 6 weeks pre-cal, you should be able to see if it factors or not. So it does factor. This is going to be x plus 1, and then x plus 3, and then x minus 2. Those are the factors, but we want the zeros. Notice I did not say the words x-intercept, the zeros. So x is going to equal, here's all the values of x that's going to make that equation equal 0. -1, remember it's always opposite, -3, and a +2. Now look, back at the beginning, we knew we were going to have one positive answer. There it is. We knew that we might have 2 negatives or none at all. Do we have 2 negatives? Yes, we do. Y'all look at -1, -3, -2. Are those numbers in here? Yes, they are. So those are the tools to get you to the right answer here. So I'm going to box that in because that's the right answer. And that is how you're going to solve polynomials when it doesn't factor. But let's do one that does factor. Let's take a look at this. Example number 4. I'm going out of order. Don't worry about this self-check. We won't even worry about that. So example number 4, I just had a little blurb there. We're going to get imaginary answers. I didn't say if it was factorable or not. Let's try to factor it. It seems like it might be factorable. So this group right here, I can take out x squared. That's going to be 2x minus 1. Oh, but look. That's already 2x minus 1. But I have to be able to factor something out. What can I take out of this that really won't change the value? Very good. So let's write +1. Great job. And then that turns into that. So it does factor. All right, let's put our factors together. So my first factor is x squared plus 1. My second factor is 2x minus 1. Now remember, such an easy way to tell if you're going to have imaginary answers is if you have an exponent on the inside. I can't take that any further. So what I'm going to do, it is now time to solve for x. That is so easy. That one, I know how to solve for x. That's just going to be a 1/2. Let me just go ahead and write this right here. I know for sure x is going to equal a 1/2, but the degree is 3. I only have one answer. I need 2 more answers. What is going to happen when I square root both sides? Yes. It's just an I. So this is positive and negative I. Remember, that counts as 2 answers because it is 2 answers. And 2 plus 1 is 3, which is what the degree is. All right, so there's one that factors with imaginary. We already did one that does not factor. So let's try another one. However, you do not have to write this down at all. You do not, if you do not want to. If you know it, please don't waste time. But I just want to talk about this flow chart. So don't write anything down. Let me talk about it first, and then you can have it if you want it. So, guys, every single time you are given something, you always check the rule of signs because it's going to help you if you got the correct answers or not. If it factors, y'all factor it. Just make sure you write your answers as zeros, not ordered pairs. And then when you're done, you're done. Move on with your life. That's if it's factorable. If it's not factorable, then remember, it's a game of chance. So you got to go with the highest possibility, and the way you're going to find the highest possibility is from the Descartes rule of signs. So are you going to have the highest positives or the highest negatives? You'd have to analyze that. Then you pull from your answer bank. Every single answer is going to come from the answer bank. And remember, the answer bank is P over Q. So once you do that, you are going to make it super easy and quick on you mentally, which is always synthetic division. Guys, you can take numbers from the answer bank and you can plug it in and do order of operations, and if it's 0, it's a factor. But when you plug it in, remember, we don't get to use a calculator. Synthetic division keeps the numbers low. So I definitely want to go with synthetic division because I can do it in my head. And again, if it factors like it did in our previous example, then factor it, move on with your life. If it doesn't, then you would have to repeat and go back to step 1, which is very likely, and we'll probably have to do that tomorrow, but not today. So write your answers as zeros. Please don't forget that. One more thing. You guys already know that the square root of -1 is I. Imaginary numbers always come in pairs. Now this is important. And the reason why it comes in pairs is because imaginary answers are conjugates, which means they're just the opposite sign. Like a difference of 2 squares, y'all, a difference of 2 squares is conjugates. So, last but not least, zeros are opposite signs of the factors. So if you have a minus in your factor, then the answer is going to be positive. If you have a positive in your factor, then it's going to be negative, and that is the fastest way that I can get this, that I can solve polynomials.